Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to What's Up, Bolts? I am Fernando Ramirez. That is Dan and Daygo. You know them, you love them. That's the only reason why you watch What's Up, Bolts, is to watch and hear what Dan and Daygo has to say. I know that's why you guys listen after the games to see what the hell is Dan and Daygo going to rant about now. But thank you guys so much for joining us. Interesting week. I mean, Charger coming off that 38-10 loss on the Jacksonville Jaguars, and like I was telling Gil on regular Compas on the beat, there's always one of those, Dan, where the Chargers always get blown out in one game, and then it rarely happens more than once or twice in a season for them. So maybe they're just getting this out of the way. But how are you feeling now, a couple of days removed?
Oh, well, you remember, right? I think it happened to us literally week 3 last year. Or sorry, happened to the Chargers week 3 last year against the Baltimore Ravens. I think they were week 3. And no, I mean, that was week 6?
Yeah.
Okay. Either case,
Chargers
it happened last year.
Last year, the Chargers started off 4-1, and they went in hot to that Baltimore game. They ended up losing, and they kind of lost some steam.
Well, the thing is like, everyone obviously was going around how they're like, oh, Staley's record against Super Bowl winning coaches and stuff like that. And I mean, I get it. But it's like, how do I feel right now? I'm not going to say it's the end of the world. Let's see what we got. Let's see what the Chargers got this week coming up. We play the Chargers play Houston. If they take care of business in Houston, I mean, who knows, right? Weirder things have happened. Where people are hurt, they come back in the playoffs, they go on a run, and boom, bada boom, bada bing. Why not, right? Why not the Chargers? But who freaking knows? Right now, it looks pretty bleak.
Yeah, and just to let you guys know, we do have a special guest on the show. Texans reporter Patrick Creighton will join us to talk all things Houston Texans. Pretty funny guy. I mean, he was actually he was joking around, making some jokes about Davis Mills and some of the other guys on there. So I got a kick out of it. Pretty good interview with him. But Dan, we got to start off real quick. Obviously, don't shoot the messenger, but Joey Bosa goes on IR. And basically, here's what Brandon Staley said on Wednesday about Joey Bosa going on IR.
Put Joey and Rashawn on IR. And Joey is going to have surgery. We expect him to return this season. And that's going to be, it's going to be a ways, but we expect him to come back. I know that he's optimistic, and ready to attack it. He's in a really good frame of mind. It's never easy when you have an injury like that because he was playing so well. But we got good news on that front, that it wouldn't be a season ender, and that, we're going to get him back later in the season.
Is it a torn? Is it a torn groin? Is that why you need surgery?
That's right. That's correct.
And so you are sure he's going to be back this season? Or
that's
possible he's going to be back.
Yeah, possible. But I mean, barring a setback, I mean, the doctors have given us that indication that he will be able to return at some point. But he is going to be on IR. Like I said, it's he's not returning, in the near future.
So basically, Dan, my understanding is obviously that Joey will be out for obviously an extended amount of time, but that basically means he's going to be out until about probably mid-November.
I would have thought the bye week, sometime around there.
No, the bye week is in about 3 or 4 weeks. I think this is about an 7-week injury. It's a torn groin, and then obviously he's gonna have to learn how to do his things back over again because he's not gonna be able to exercise for a little bit. But it's a blow. I mean, it's really a big blow for them, especially because they brought in they brought in Khalil Mack to team up with Joey, and now it kind of hurts them a little bit. I don't know, Dan, what your thought process on it, but this is a big loss for the Chargers.
I mean, my thought process is the same of every other year. Like, it is what it is, man, at this point. I don't know what's in the water they give them, but it's always something, and it's always somebody. But, I mean, like, it's crazy because was the year before, is it like one of those things where he's hurt 1 year, next year he's healthy, and then he didn't miss any games last year, right?
No, Joey he only missed 1 game because of COVID last year.
Yeah, and I mean, that doesn't really count.
The year before that, he had missed 2 because of the concussion. But other than that, Joey really didn't miss. He hadn't missed any games since 2018.
Oh,
when he had the foot surgery.
it's always difficult to overcome adversity when you lose one of the cornerstones of your program, essentially, in my mind. I just hope, seriously, I once again, I still love Brandon Staley. I hope this team can come together, because you got to have that next man up mentality if you want to even contend for a championship, let alone win it, right? Your number one guys aren't always going to be there. So, I mean, I just hope everybody can come together, pull out a win, get business done, take care of business, and make sure hopefully the Chargers are on the up and up when he comes back. What's going to be interesting, you think Chris Rumph is going to be there, or you think they're going to slide down Kyle Van Noy?
No, when you
Or
said
am I getting ahead?
No. When you said next man up mentality, this is what Brandon Staley said about.
That's what we call a segue. Let's go, Bimbo.
Exactly,
High five.
about Chris Rumph. How much do you trust Chris Rumph?
Oh, I recognize that voice.
Opposite Khalil Mack.
Yeah, Fernando, you were here last year and kind of saw his evolution. And I think for you guys who were here last year, you've seen how much he's improved as a player. And he's ready. He's ready to play on the edge. We're fortunate that we have Kyle Van Noy. That was a big motive for us bringing Kyle in here to give us that flexibility. But we think that Chris is ready, to be out there. And, I definitely feel confident in those guys.
How much do you trust Chris Rumph?
I recognize that voice, dude. The GOAT! That's why he's the GOAT!
Yeah, no, so it definitely interesting to hear him talk about Chris Rumph and a little bit about what they think he's going to bring to the team. I mean, like they said, he's a guy that they're going to count on. He's a guy that they think he's a guy that can really bring something to the team, and it's going to be interesting. You know what, Dan, and I wrote this in my article today. So Chris Rumph, his dad is a coach in the NFL. His dad coached with Khalil. He coached Khalil Mack when he was with the Chicago Bears. So he had actually asked Khalil to work out with Chris during off season. So Chris has some familiarity with Khalil Mack. Now it's about growing. And Chris said today, my standard is that I don't want my teammates to miss Joey Bosa. I have to make the same impact that Joey Bosa made. Now, those are big words because Joey Bosa's impact is 10 sacks, 10 to 15 sacks a season. That's basically his impact. So for Chris, I think this is a chance for him to grow. And who
100%.
knows, maybe they establish themselves as a good trio, but I mean it's gonna be tough for Chris. He's gonna have to go through the growing pains. It's gonna be tough. There's gonna be a lot of he's gonna face a lot of really good right and left tackles. So Chris said he's ready to go and that he knows he has the full respect of his teammates, so that he's excited for this opportunity.
100%. And at least he has the right mentality where it's like, oh, I'm not just filling in for Joey Bosa until he's back. Let me put my best foot forward every day to try and make sure my teammates aren't like, oh, dang, well, if Joey was there.
Yeah,
hopefully,
exactly.
hopefully, he's putting in the work and he's ready to go. And when the time comes, he's at least going to be, doing something. He's going to be productive. There we go. Be productive.
It's funny. Speaking of that, so we asked Derwin about we asked Derwin about Joey Bosa and everything, and he said it's a tough loss for our defense, for our team. Joey means a lot to us. He's a guy that we can count on, and we're definitely going to miss him out there. But it's on us to have his back and hold things down until he gets situated. That's what to me, that's what a leader does. That's what a leader says. And obviously Derwin is a leader of this team. But it's funny because then we asked him about Chris Rumph, and he goes, a lot of growth. He is stronger. He is weighing more. I used to always pick on him all the time and tell him he's a DB. That's like my little brother. I love him a lot. I used to tell him, man, you're a DB. He's come back this year. He's stronger. He's got weight on, and he's more confident. He's going to help us too. So I thought we were laughing like hysterically just because he's like, you're a DB, because Chris was really skinny last year.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say. You remember when we saw him in preseason lined up at the edge, we're like, who the hell is that? This must be some new guy. And nope, there he was, Chris Rumph.
Yeah, so it was pretty funny to hear that. But real quick, before we go to our guest, let's go real quick to what Derwin had to say, actually. And Dan, I want you to look at the intensity in his eyes. This was Derwin James talking about Sunday's loss.
Right now, everybody was disappointed about the loss last game. That wasn't sitting right with me, especially that loss last week. But we're moving on. We got Houston this week, and like you said, man, we can't point and blame because there's other teams that's dealing with the same problem. They're dealing with injuries to players too. So we just gotta overcome it, and next man up, and we gotta keep playing.
I love that guy so much, dude. I love Derwin James so much. That's the thing, right? When you're a
Yeah,
dog.
about you today.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's like, how's your brother doing? I love that guy.
I love that guy too, dude. That's my guy. That's my guy. But like, you see what I'm saying? Like, that's a championship mentality, dude. How many people wouldn't piss and moan? Oh, well, we got this guy hurt. Oh, this or that, this or that, this or that. It's like you have to keep moving, right? Injuries, like this is the biggest thing I always try and tell players or students I teach, right? Worry about the things in your control. Worry about the 6 inches that's in front of your face that you control and you dominate, dude. Don't, for instance, the players, don't worry about what the receiver's doing. Don't worry about what the quarterback's doing. Don't worry about running backs. Worry about your 6 inches and your sphere of influence, dude. Go beat dogs and attack. That's my biggest thing.
I love that. So right now we are going to go to our special guest, Patrick Creighton. He's going to break down all things Texans, and then Dan and I will come back and break down some of the game for you guys. So let's go now to talk to Patrick Creighton. Folks, I'm excited about our next guest. This weekend the Chargers face the Texans. I had to get Patrick Creighton, ESPN 97.5, late hits, ESPN. He also covers the Houston Texans for the Gallery Sports. So obviously I had to get him on and talk all things Texans. Patrick, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. I just wanted to, I got to start here. Obviously last year was kind of a mess. David Coley's the coach, or Dave Coley, he's the coach. Deshaun Watson sits out. Just what was it like last year to go through that and cover the team when when a coach is only there for a year, and then obviously the quarterback's not really the quarterback? What was that like?
Mess is probably a really nice way of explaining what happened last year with the Texans. They were kind of in a very difficult position. They started off with Deshaun wanting to be traded because he wasn't happy with the direction of the organization. And then, we found out about Deshaun's dirty side. And that certainly changed the tenor of the fan from being almost pro Deshaun to being get this guy the hell out of here. And nobody wants to have a guy with that kind of thing hanging over their heads or that kind of reputation running their team unless you're in Cleveland. So, but if I was from the city of losers, I would probably feel that way too. But as far as like Houston with not having Deshaun, and then you had Tyrod and Davis Mills, look, you had 30-something guys on 1-year contracts. You knew it was very much a transition year for the Texans last year. And, Nick Caserio came into an organization that already inherited the problem with the quarterback, and inherited the problem with the roster, and inherited the problem with the salary cap. So you knew it was going to take more than just 1 year to clean up that mess. So they kind of had to get through that. 4 wins is probably 2 to 3 more wins than most people thought they were going to have last year. But it was evident very quickly. David Culley, very nice man, liked man, respected man, way over his head when it came to being the head coach. And, it's unfortunate that he couldn't grow into the position and that they had to make that decision. But it was absolutely the right decision to move on from David Culley.
And obviously now they have a veteran in Lovie Smith, who he's been around for a while. Very good coach, well respected. I love the beard. I don't know what it is about that beard, but I love that he grew that out. Exactly. I love it. But just talk about what he's kind of brought. Obviously he's a veteran presence. He's a guy who's been around the league for years and years. Just can you talk about what he's kind of brought to the organization?
Well, it's a different level of trust, of confidence, of organization. Lovey's been there. Lovey's done that. Lovey went to a Super Bowl with Rex Grossman as quarterback. That's almost Hall of Fame worthy on its own. So what Lovey's been able to do as a head coach, look, Lovey got fired in Chicago because he went 10-6. they would kill people to go 10-6 in Chicago right now. Yeah, he got fired.
Yeah, exactly.
Then he went to Tampa and had that team turned around, and they decided, oh, we don't want to lose Dirk Cutter as our offensive coordinator, so we're going to fire Lovey and make Dirk Cutter the head coach. That failed really badly. So Lovey kind of got the short end of the stick at his last job. So I'm glad to see that he's getting another opportunity. Lovey's a good coach. And, you know, I don't feel for him because you can see the frustration on his face. Lovey's not going to deliberately go out there and throw guys under the bus and, you know, but you can see when Lovey gets that kind of blank stare on his face and all the emotion just kind of comes out of his voice, that's when you know he's really frustrated. And I think we're dealing with a little bit of that right now. But the players certainly, I mean, look, you saw, even though the run defense is there are not words that we can use on this podcast that are FCC compliant to describe the Texans' run defense right now.
The Chargers run defense is up there too.
You know, they fight hard for them. They're just they haven't learned all their disciplines yet. I do think they are lacking in talent, particularly at the linebacker position, and boy, they really can't wait to get Christian Harris back. But there's a lack of talent at the linebacker position, which is why, you know, your safety Jonathan Owens is leading the entire league in tackles right now.
Yeah, no, and you know what's funny? I mean, we should talk about Davis Mills, but the reason why I want to stick with the defense real quick is, man, Derek Stingley is one fun guy to watch. I love watching him at LSU. Now he's here. He's going to learn from Lovie Smith. I feel like, I mean, I'm not going to say he's going to be a Peanut Tillman kind of guy, but I feel like he could be one of those really good shutdown corners that's going to learn quickly. But I don't know what you've seen from him the first two games, and then obviously in preseason. But I think he's a special guy.
He is a very special talent. He is tremendously athletic and very smart player. He week 2 against Denver, he kind of got it put on him by Cortland Sutton and Russell Wilson. Now, there were a couple of plays that he made were nice, but he got it put on him. And the biggest play of the game was 35-yard pass to Cortland Sutton on a 3rd and 16, start of the fourth quarter, where Derek Stingley not only got turned around once, he got turned around twice. And that's why in a cover 2 with Jonathan Owens over the top, Russell Wilson was able to find Cortland Sutton wide open on the left side for a 35-yard pickup. Cortland lost him twice. And look, there's going to be a learning curve, obviously. He didn't play a lot of football last year because of the injury. But that being said, I can tell you, having been somebody who came from New York, I've been down here in Texas for the last 9.5 years. Darrelle Revis' rookie season, people wanted him, like, thrown off the team. They wanted him, like, erased from memory. Revis was awful his rookie season. I don't have to tell you what kind of player Darrelle Revis became. So there might be a learning curve here for Derek Stingley Jr. As this season goes on, but I don't think it's going to be a full season. I think that by the time we get to midseason, we'll probably start to see a lot of improvement from Derek Stingley. I really can't count what happened last week because the Bears can't throw the football. So, you know, but he does compete, and every play he's going to compete. He's going to play hard, and like I said, I do think he is extremely talented. They didn't take him at 3 because he's not the goods. Nick Caserio firmly believes in him. The team does, and you know, look, we saw him play at LSU. He probably went up against better receivers in practice at LSU than he did in any game that he played in the SEC. So. That being said, I do think, look, there might be a learning curve, and you know, the Chargers have a couple pretty good receivers on their own, so it's going to be a tough matchup. But I expect he's going to battle hard, and they might beat him a couple of times, and he might make a couple of nice plays, and we'll see how that goes on. I think a bigger part of that is going to be, you know, how healthy is Justin Herbert, and how well is he able to throw the football, and if he's got all day to throw the football the way that. I know people look and say, wow, you know, the Texans got a lot of pressure on Justin Fields. Well, the Bears' offensive line stinks. Also, Justin Fields holds on to the football long enough for us to sit down at a steakhouse and have dinner before he throws it. So it's a little bit different when you're going up against a guy like Justin Herbert, who I think when he is 100% healthy he is definitely one of the 6 most exciting quarterbacks to watch in the NFL. He's got a great arm. He's extremely athletic. He's a really fun guy to watch, and it'll be a challenge for a Texans defense right now that's licking its wounds.
Yeah, no, but I mean, last year, I don't know if you were at the game or I just remember that game last year against the Texans where the Chargers, if they win that game, they're in the playoffs. They clinch a playoff berth. They end up getting run over by Rex Burkhead for over 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. So I think the Chargers they have to have that a little bit still in their minds, that matchup from last year. But I was impressed in that game by Davis Mills, the quarterback. He was a guy that I don't think was talked about pre-draft. He wasn't really – I mean, he came out in obviously a draft where there was other quarterbacks. But can you just talk about his maturation and kind of how he's grown and last year and then going into this year?
So part of the frustration right now with the Houston Texans is that the Davis Mills from the last 5 games of last year, who looked like the best of the rookie quarterbacks from last year during that 5-game stretch, that guy hasn't shown up yet. And they're still trying to find him. And the reason it's frustrating is because going from last year to this year, Davis Mills played that well over the final 5 games with one of the worst offensive lines in the league, with the 2nd worst running game in the league, with 1 wide receiver, and with a defense that was absolutely abysmal. They were 31st against the run. They were 29th in yards per catch allowed when any defensive back was the first guy near the ball. They really were an absolute mess of a team last year. Yet he was able to overcome all of those things and play very well. He certainly outperformed Mac Jones down the stretch. Mac Jones looked terrible down the stretch.
Yeah.
This year, however, in a year that's supposed to have the Texans with a better head coach and a better offensive coordinator going from Tim Cully to Pep Hamilton, supposed to have a better offensive line. They drafted Kenyon Green. You were getting Laramie Tunsil back. You were supposed to have a better running game with the draft of Dameon Pierce, who's played very well, with the exception of putting him on the floor. But he's played very well. You were supposed to have a better defense. You were going to have a better defense up front. You're going to have a much better secondary. You drafted Derek Stingley, drafted Jalen Petrie in the first couple of rounds of the draft. You took Christian Harris. He's been on the IR, but he'll be back probably week 5. So there were a lot of things that were expected to be better for the Texans this year, and they haven't been. The line in the 4th quarter, for some reason, and this is really one of the great frustrations with the team, is nobody can understand nor put a finger on why in the 4th quarter the same 5 guys who play every snap of the whole game suddenly forget how to communicate in the 4th quarter. Why is it that Davis Mills, who is not afraid to throw the football for 3 quarters, in the 4th quarter turtles up? Because he didn't do that last year. In fact, the game against the Chargers, the Texans put up a lot of points in the second half. So why this is suddenly happening is the great mystery on this team. This is a team that legitimately should be 3-0. And they're 0-2-1 because in the 4th quarter, they absolutely go into a shell, and nobody can seem to figure out why. That being said, Mills made one really atrocious throw last week that resulted in the Roquan Smith interception. I know the ball was tipped, but that was a terrible throw from the word go. He never looked off the receiver. Even if the ball wasn't tipped, that was probably going to hit Roquan Smith in the hands anyway. It was an awful, awful throw. The one that he threw in the end zone was a tip ball that got popped up in the air and intercepted. I'm not going to say it was a terrible throw, but they probably was a different read that could have been made there that would have been a better throw. Those were 2 big mistakes by Davis Mills that resulted in a touchdown not being scored, and then the game-winning field goal being kicked. He was 20 of 32 for 245. Those aren't terrible numbers. He did make some very nice throws. He hit Chris Moore for a big 52-yard gain over the middle. So you can see he has the arm strength. He has the arm talent. He can make all the throws. Right now, for whatever reason, the decision-making is off a little bit. Also, Brandon Cooks was his number 1 target last year. But Brandon Cooks didn't play in the preseason at all. And their connection seems to be a little bit off right now. Cooks uncharacteristically has about 3 drops already, which Brandon Cook's usually a very short-handed receiver.
Yeah.
He's only caught 13 of his 29 targets so far this year. He only had 2 catches for 22 yards last week. So they've got to find a way to reestablish that connection and get Brandon Cooks going. He's their best offensive play.
Yeah. Yeah. So obviously, you know what game I actually did watch was that Broncos game, and it was so close. And at the end, I thought, okay, maybe Davis Mills will put the team on his back and he'll start making these throws. He was throwing it into the dirt, and I was kind of like, well, what's going on? Like, why can't you hit your receivers? And I know he had a lot of pressure on him, but it's like he leaves you wanting a little bit more. Like, you're like, come on, dude. Like, you like, I don't know if it's just me, but I kind of wanted him to put the team on his back and end up beating the Broncos, because it would have been a pretty good story for the Texans, who had tied the week before against the Colts. I don't know. I mean, obviously, that's kind of what you're telling me right now, is that it hasn't clicked for him yet this season. But do you think that not upgrading the weapons kind of also has hurt them a little bit? Not getting him. I mean, I'm not saying premier weapons, but maybe upgrading, go out there and getting a free agent receiver or something, or a tight end or anything like that.
Well, you have to understand the Texans' salary cap situation with the trade of Deshaun Watson. They were extremely hampered with the amount of dead cap space that they have. I mean, right now the Texans have less than $1.5 million under the cap. They've got so much dead money from between the Deshaun deal and then some of the other deals they moved on from the Bill O'Brien era that were just really bad decisions. And that's part of the challenge Nick Caserio has in cleaning up the team. Is Bill O'Brien left behind a house that looked like it had been stripped to the studs, and they even cut out the copper piping. I mean, there was nothing. They didn't have draft picks. They didn't have salary cap. They had guys who weren't very good on big, expensive, long-term guaranteed deals. It's a lot to clean up. That being said, they did draft John Mechie III, who unfortunately was diagnosed with cancer, and he's going to miss this season. Yeah. So they did attempt to make that upgrade. They do expect Nico Collins to take a step forward. They expected Chris Moore to take a step forward. They signed Tyler Johnson after he had been waived by Tampa Bay, and Tyler Johnson, not a great receiver, but a good, solid wide receiver, but hasn't been able to get on the field yet because he's still learning the offense. They signed O.J. Howard after he was released. O.J. Howard had 2 touchdowns week 1. They brought back Jordan Akins, who's a guy who had been in their team for 4 years, so he pretty much knows the offense and the scheme and is familiar with a lot of the things that are going on. And he had a touchdown last week. So they are trying to make those upgrades, but they have to do it within the constraints of the fact that they don't have any budget at all. So it's trying to bargain basement shop. And I thought the picking up Tyler Johnson, picking up O.J. Howard, they were great moves because they're moves that don't cost you anything. And you get guys who have actual NFL, legitimate NFL experience, have talent, can add to that room. But they've got to acclimate them better. And they seem to be having a little trouble getting those guys acclimated. But look, this was always going to be a transition year for them. And yeah, you know what? They should be 3-0 right now. They absolutely should be. But realistically, I do think the Texans will be better as the season goes on than what they're showing us right now.
No, I completely agree. 2 final questions for me. One, what's the feeling around Texans fans and everything about Nick Caserio and the direction he's taking in the team? Are the fans kind of buying the vision and everything, or kind of what's your feeling on that?
I think overwhelmingly the fans have bought into Nick Caserio. Nick Caserio's earned it. He earned very high marks for his first draft where he didn't have a pick until the 3rd round. He earned very high marks for this current draft where they've got, Kenyon Green is a starter. Jalen Petrie is a starter. Derek Stingley Jr. is a starter. John Mechie III would have been a starter had he been healthy. Christian Harris will be a starter when he returns. There's a lot of guys that they drafted who came right in, stepped in as starting players. So for a team that has had a history of drafting very poorly over the last several years, particularly under the Bill O'Brien watch, they've had 2 very good drafts. They've been able to scour the recycling bin to find players who have been and are expected to be, contributors to the team. And look, they took Davis Mills in the 3rd round last year. Davis Mills came out after a COVID season where he didn't play very much and didn't have a whole lot of college football under his belt, but was a guy who was a very highly recruited player. And the assumption was if Davis Mills had stayed in college for another year, he would have been a 1st-round pick coming out this year. There is some development, however, that needs to be done with a guy who hasn't necessarily had a whole lot of college football starts. So every game this year for Davis is essentially an audition, fair or not. It's an audition because the Texans overall probably aren't going to be very good. They're going to have a very high draft pick, and they're going to have the opportunity to draft one of the top quarterbacks in this current draft if they want to. So it really is incumbent on Davis Mills to continue to progress and show that he can be the guy, or unfortunately for him, he's probably going to get replaced in the NFL draft this coming year. Now, he's shown he can make throws, and he's shown he can have command of the offense. We saw it last year. So it's trying to unlock that guy and get him on the same page with his receivers. Because again, Brandon Cooks didn't play in the preseason. O.J. Howard wasn't here. Jordan Akins was on the practice squad. They're trying to work around, the offensive line, I think, is still a bit of a work in progress. Talent-wise, they're better. But they are still a bit of a work in progress of getting all those guys to always be on the same page. And they don't have very much depth, as you can see by the fact that the offensive linemen, the 5 linemen, they play every snap. The secondary for the Texans, all 4 of those guys, they play every snap. So there are certain position groups that they do not have a lot of depth. And as much as whatever people might be frustrated with the fact that in the fourth quarter the offense has gotten bogged down and not knowing where it is, there are things that obviously can be corrected, and part of that is communication and part of that is confidence. So we'll see how long it takes them to get on that page. But I do believe that because of the work Nick Caserio has done, the fact that this team now has a lot more young talent, that people know about their talent level, they know what they're getting into. These guys are making plays. They're already starting. People are believing, hey, you know what? This is not an organization that now is being led by Tom McNair and by Jack Easterby. This is an organization that's led by Nick Caserio, and people have confidence in Nick Caserio that things will go the right way.
And last one for me, Patrick. What's your prediction for Sunday?
This is what I think is going to be another difficult matchup for the Texans. I know the Texans beat the Chargers last year, but that was in December. It's a lot easier to beat the Chargers in December than it is to beat them in September. I'm not trying to offend anybody, but history is history. And this is usually the part of the year where the Chargers will start to play pretty well. You've gotten through the first 3 games of the year. Now they'll get on their run, and then in December we'll hope that they don't do what they normally do. But they do have a lot of talent. And, Justin Herbert's an electrifying player. Austin Eckler is a great player. I mean, I got him in 3 different dynasty leagues because of how great a player he is. Austin Eckler's a terrific player. They've got weapons on the outside. They have size. They have speed on the outside. They certainly have the ability to put up a lot of points. And the Texans right now, you think about how bad the run defense is. They're giving up over 202 yards per game. Nobody else is giving up more than 157. And that includes the Bears and the Seahawks. So they're giving up 202 yards per game. Last year, the Texans were second to last in run defense. They were giving up about 145 a game. The year before, they were dead last. They gave up 162 yards per game. So 202 yards per game on the ground is some 1935 era type offense that the Texans are literally just in the game of Moses. The Texans are the Red Sea right now, and they're very happy to play that role. So it is very possible Austin Eckler could have a absolutely monster game on the ground. The Texans can't stop the run. And if the Chargers use any kind of like jet motion offense, which I always equate with high school, but if they use any kind of jet motion offense, we've seen the Texans get burned on jet sweeps, wide receiver jet sweeps the last couple of weeks. So they are susceptible to that. They showed a lack of discipline last week in maintaining their gaps, which allowed Justin Fields to escape the pocket and pick up big gains with his feet because they didn't maintain gap integrity. So these are things that the team has to work on. I think this is a game the Chargers could put up an awful lot of points. They certainly rack up a ton of yardage on the ground. We know they can throw the ball. So I do think that this is a very tough game for the Texans because of the balance the Chargers offense can bring. I think this is a game that the Chargers literally should be able to put up 30 plus points without a whole lot without a whole lot of trouble, and it's just a matter of is the Texans offense going to be able to try to fight back and be able to put up points with them and make it a competitive game, or the Chargers going to win this by 2 scores.
Well, Charger fans are hoping that happens because Austin Eckler the first 3 weeks, it hasn't materialized yet, but obviously the Chargers are going to stick to the running game and try and run the ball. But you know what I love a big part of why I love journalism is for this. Patrick and I didn't know each other. I messaged him and I'm like, hey, nice to meet you. I'd love to have you on the podcast. He's like, yeah, sure. And this is a cool way to meet. I think this is awesome. It's awesome to get to know people from that that you don't know from Houston or that cover other teams. I think this is the fun part of journalism. And Patrick, it's honestly great to meet you. And don't forget, he is Late Hits, ESPN 97.5. He also covers the Texans for Gallery Sports. Check out all of his work, and he's on Twitter at PCreighton1. Patrick, anything to say before we head out?
Well, for now, you look like you're a little bit younger than I am, which is good for you because I'm old. But I'll tell you, when I was a young journalist and a young media person trying to break into this business, it was very hard to get people to answer your call, to respond to your email. Obviously, when I started, we didn't have the internet; it didn't exist. That's how old I am. So it was very difficult. And I always make it a point to be available to everyone anytime that I can. And I hope that everyone else in media will do this also, because like you said, this is how you get to meet people. And this is how you get to A, make new relationships, and B, kind of get introduced to new audiences. And there is nothing bad that comes from being available to new people and exactly. Sharing your information and their information and putting it together. And I really appreciate that, because you had come to me through a mutual friend of ours. So networking at its finest. So I appreciate that you reached out to me and invited me on the show. I'm happy to do it. Happy to do it anytime.
I appreciate it. And you never know. I mean, if you're in San Diego or LA, I know the best taco places. So if you ask me, hey, what's the best taco place? I got you. So you don't even have to worry about that. So there you go. I got your back when it comes to all that.
Well, I got a date with the OC soon. So
there you go.
I'll look you up.
There you go. Patrick, thank you so much again for joining What's Up, Bolts, and we appreciate your time.
My pleasure.
Dan, great stuff from Patrick Creighton. Obviously learning a lot about the Houston Texans. He kind of is a little, like he said that Davis Mills so far is having an iffy season. You and I watched that Broncos Texans game together, and Davis Mills, I mean, if he would have put some balls in a better place, they could have possibly won that game, and they wouldn't be 0-2-1. They'd possibly be 1-1-1. So it's kind of a shame, but it's gonna be a good matchup against the Chargers, and I feel like they really are gonna they're gonna give the Chargers some trouble, especially with some of the players that they have on that team the way they kind of did last year.
And just like you said, right? I'm no math magician, scientist, whatever, but I always hear, OCs and head coaches and other people, they always say, give your receiver a chance. And that's true. Like, I understand you want to protect the football and everything else, but how in the hell are you going to expect to give your guy a chance if you throw it in the dirt 2 yards ahead of him? You know what I mean? Like, especially towards the end of the game, dude, you got to take a shot.
So obviously new week, everybody's wondering what is the status of Justin Herbert. So now let's listen to what Brandon Staley had to say on Wednesday about how Justin's feeling after a couple of days since the Jacksonville game.
Justin came out of the game positive. Felt good throughout the game in terms of, I think there were a lot of unknowns going into the game, how he was going to feel. And I think that him getting past that, the first, quarter, first half for sure. And you just know how your body's feeling. And so I thought that he finished the game well, and then just, normal soreness after the game. And, I think this week we just have a lot more certainty in terms of how to manage it moving forward. And I think that's the big thing is, it's always going to be day to day, but I think getting last week out of the way, I think we have a much better, plan of attack moving.
So basically he said that normal routines are going to have to be different. They're not going to be the same as they were. So they're going to have to try and get into a whole new routine for him. So Wednesday he didn't throw. Thursday's usually the bigger practice for them. So Thursday I'm sure he will throw. So that's just a little bit about what is going on with Justin. But Dan, I know you and the fans have been asking, what is going on at left tackle. Will Storm Norton really be the left tackle? And Brandon Staley today threw a curveball, and he announced that Jamaree Salyer is going to be he's a 6th-round pick out of Georgia. He's going to be the starting left tackle. So now you have 2 rookies on your offensive line. And before I get your thoughts, here's what Brandon Staley had to say about Jamaree earning the spot.
So far
Let's go.
Jamaree's earning this opportunity. Coming out of training camp, that was what we felt had happened. And then Storm had an opportunity to play. And, now through 3 games, we feel like we have some evidence that, we got to make a change. And that's what we're doing, is we're making a change to put the best 5 guys that we feel like give us a chance. And, we're excited about this.
So
I apologize if I butchered his name. Jamaree is his name. I don't know if I had said that wrong, but Jamaree.
Well, you corrected the record. You corrected the record now. That's what's important.
So,
but yeah,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, go Dogs. I hope you know what I'm saying. I wish nothing for the best for this guy. Dude, nothing would give me more joy than to have this 6th-round pick all of a sudden be an All-Pro, right?
I didn't think they were gonna go with Storm. I hesitated because on Monday we spoke to him and he said we're gonna try and get the best 5 out there. And right then and there you say, oh, it's gonna be Storm Norton. I think he wanted to wait a little bit and he went with Jamaree. And we spoke to Jamaree today and he said he's so excited about this opportunity. Yeah, I asked him, I'm like, hey, so are you gonna reach out to Rashawn and pick his brain? Dude already did. And he's like, I want to make sure. He's like, I want to make sure I did. And then obviously Corey Lindsley said it's not just about Jamaree doing his job. It's about us trying to help him and us helping him get up to speed and learning how to do this. You're going from not playing a single snap in the NFL to now being the left tackle of the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yeah.
And protecting Justin Herbert's blind side. No pressure, but I just thought it was pretty interesting.
Real. No big deal. And it's what? You just hit the nail on the head, dude, right? Corey Lindsley said that's gospel truth to offensive line play. It's not about one person on the line. It's all 5 guys working together, right? One of the biggest, the players are probably tired of hearing me say this, but I always tell them the offensive line of the team, right? They're the hand of the team, right? If they were a part of the anatomy. And I always ask them, how do you throw a punch? You throw a punch with all 5 fingers going in different directions, or do you throw a punch when all fingers come together, work together, and bada boom, bada bing, he goes to sleep, right? That's how tight they have to be to work together, have that cohesion, have that chemistry. Just like in basketball, right? In basketball, those 5 guys on the court have to have chemistry, or you notice it right away, and they can't do anything. It's the same thing for offensive line play.
Yeah, no, and Brandon continued a little bit, and he said that he played. He's played enough. He played a good bit. That was the position he played in college for us. Right now, we feel like he's the best option for us going into this game plan, knowing that we have Storm Norton as a swing guy, knowing that Trey Pipkins, Matt Filer each have played tackle. We're going to try and attack this week heading into this game, this opportunity. We're excited about it. Jamaree has done a really good job during training camp. He has stayed ready. He's ready for this opportunity. So that was pretty interesting. And then, Dan, just real quick, before we jump to our next segment, I just wanted to give you some updates. Keenan Allen, J.C. Jackson, most of those guys were all limited this week, but I think they're getting closer. Who knows if they play on Sunday? But I think they're getting closer to seeing the field. And with some of the losses, like Rashawn Slater and Joey Bosa, to kind of have J.C. Jackson, Corey Lindsley, Keenan Allen, and Donald Parham and some of these guys back would really be a boost for this team, who obviously right now is reeling with some of these injuries. But here's my favorite part of the program. I love when Dan breaks down offensive line.
Oh my God!
And
here we go.
I got some film for you, Dan. Look
you know what's funny?
He's leaning forward. People who can't see on TV, he's leaning forward and he's getting ready to watch.
These aren't my prescription glasses, everybody. I'm as blind as a bat under these.
So obviously,
I love watching this.
This is Travon Walker, the first pick overall from the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's from Georgia too, going up against Trey Pipkins. So Dan, tell us what we're watching right here.
Look at that, dude. He finally has some speed on him. I just wish he wouldn't give up so much depth. have a little more power, but he sets to him perfectly, right? Oh, here's a different play. Is he going to reach him? Let's see. Is this out probably outside zone? Yeah, you can tell they're trying to steal the edge. Oh, so he's pulling now. Let's see what he's got. That's not great. I wish we would have gotten a bigger piece. Let's see what else. Oh my, Rashawn, how I love thee. I love Rashawn Slater, dude.
Look at that.
Watching
That's
that guy, watching that guy pass protect is probably like what people watching Van Gogh paint must have been like. You know what I mean? Oh God, he took a bad angle. He over pursued. Linebacker gets over him. Oh, come on, Rashawn. But that's all right. You're hurt. I miss you.
Oh well, no, he ran into Matt Filer.
Who? The attack? No, he didn't.
Look at the running back.
Oh yeah. Oh, he gave up too much penetration. You see that? Yeah. He gave up too penetration. He took a bad angle also.
Well, no, but like in my opinion, right there, he should have been able to go through he should have been able to go through right there where he was gonna hit it. Look, it's wide open for him to just run right through it.
Yeah.
But obviously Rashawn Jenkins and those guys get through.
He just gave up too much penetration there, Matt Filer. That was the problem. But
oh my God, look, did you see that?
Yeah, I don't. You see what I'm talking about?
Okay, so explain that play.
Right, his pad level's too high, and he has no anchor. It's like watching a pig on skates, dude. Trey Pipkins, get your ass into the dirt, dude. Squat, get under his shoulder pads. Right. The easiest way I've come to learn how to beat a bull rush, you have two options, right? You either dig your fingers under his shoulder pads, lift his shoulder pads into his throat, so it forces him to come up, right? Because obviously he's not going to suffocate himself. Or the other one I've loved to do and I've taught is when he puts his hands on you right there like that, you smash his hands, and because he's leaning forward, trying to get power on you, his momentum's going to take him straight into the turf, and you can just lay on them, helicopter them, do what you do, Modern Warfare 2, whatever, it doesn't matter. But you see what I'm saying? Like, you see exactly right. Shout out. You see how he's leaning forward. If you smash his arms and remove that, like, I guess, anchor point that's keeping him upright by leaning into you, the guy's going to go straight into the turf.
Why do you think they haven't been able to run the ball so well so far?
Well, part of the problem you already saw, Matt Filer was giving up too much penetration in there. That's what killed the play. He took a bad angle to that tackle. Part of it also is, like I said, it's cohesion, right? You have to fire off working together for double teams and all that to get to the second level. Part of it also is they have just sometimes, right? I've never liked it in, just because of the history of our team when we go heavy. I would rather spread them out as much as I can and try and run the football a little more effectively like that.
As an offensive line coach, does this next play, does it piss you off a little bit or no?
Which one? This one? Let's see.
Watch Pipkins' guy. He kind of gives up on the play, and then he ends up.
Yeah, he makes the play. Yeah, that's the thing, right? Go back. Is this a draw? What are they doing here? Go back real quick.
Yeah, it was a draw.
It's a draw. See, even if it's a draw, right?
Look at the top. He hands the ball off to Eckler.
Yeah. Even if it's a draw, that was right? Look, Clap's the bigger problem anyway, right? Because he's at the point of attack. He's not washing his guy. He's getting ate up into the hole. Look, he was literally almost in Austin Eckler's lap, and all he does is shield. That's always a big problem, right? It's one thing, right, on a draw, you flash the pass, so you give high hat, and then as soon as they take a step, you low hat his ass, and you get him out of the hole, dude, because this type of stuff happens.
Can you do me a favor and watch Zion on this play?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. Give me some good stuff. See, that's better. You see how he shields them, and his guy essentially has he has no percentage of grabbing him, right? He's not the guy who's going to make the play. I just wish you would have kept blocking him until the whistle, but I mean, I'll take that any day over what Trey Pipkins does here. Look, you see how he just hand fights him? Like, come on, dude, you're not a corner. Oh my God, I feel like he's way bigger than that guy too. What is he doing? What is that? I just hate it, dude. You got to be – I always try and explain it like this, right? It's okay to not be violent everywhere else you go. But in football, you got to pull out that caveman, Neanderthal. I'm going to swing my bat at you the whole time, and you're just going to go blow for blow. You know what I mean? Like, you have got to be violent to be an offensive lineman. There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Let's just watch this final play real quick. Trey
Yeah,
Pipkins
let's see
against
this.
Trevon Walker.
Look how far it is. He's probably going to kick. Yep, he kicked. Look, you see what I'm talking about, dude? He has no punch. His punch is weak. He's catching them. Oh, this is what I'm talking about, dude. I'm about to have a stroke. What are you trying to do to me? Get my blood pressure going at 8 o'clock at night? Gosh, dang it. Like, that's the thing. You have to be a brick wall on the edges, just like you have to be a brick wall inside, dude. Like, the perfect pocket is the umbrella, the shape of an umbrella. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Guard, center, guard, they have like maybe one kick step, and that's about it. The tackles are the only ones who can kick back maybe 2 or 3, if that. I don't like that stuff anyway. Don't go super far back, dude. I don't like this at all, dude. Look at him just getting, oh God, my poor son of Odin getting harassed.
All right, Dan. Now let's go to a fantasy player to watch this weekend.
Fantasy player to watch. You know, Coach Torres is always hounding me. Mike Dubb is killing me on my fantasy team, Coach. He's killing me, Coach. Let's see what he does this week. I'm gonna say Mike will. Maybe this week he gets open, dude. That one's for you, Coach Torres. Shout out.
You know what I'm excited for? Derek Stingley. Remember him from the draft? LSU. He went 3rd overall.
He does.
Brandon worked him out. Brandon worked him out at his pro day.
Yeah.
So he's gonna play this weekend. He's a guy that I asked Patrick Creighton about, and he said that that he's really aggressive, that he'll give up a couple plays, but that he's still a very good player and everything. So he's a guy that I'm excited to watch this weekend. So you got, who'd you get?
I said Mike Dubb.
Mike Dubb. All right. I'm gonna say he's back, and I say Keenan Allen has a big game this weekend.
Oh, really?
I think he's gonna come out like a caged animal, and he's gonna be pissed,
dude.
He's gonna be the one that helps the Chargers go. X Factor, Dan.
Just real quick, going back to how he's a caged animal. That's the biggest thing, right? When teams face adversity like they faced last week, getting blown out at home,
They've missed Keenan.
100%. They're going to do one of two things, right? That always does two things for a team, either one or the other, never both. Either it's going to light a fire under their arse, and they're going to get that sense of urgency, and they're going to come out firing on all cylinders, right? Or they're going to crumble and say, woe is me, right? Oh, here we go, same old Chargers and all that other garbage we hear all the time. X Factor. I'm going to go with the same guy, dude. Not Austin Eckler, my freaking offensive coordinator, Joe Lombardi. Is he going to get a better game plan in there? Can we please try and establish the run at least somewhat? I thought Sony Michel has been our best running back.
You guys do it. You got to play for
all 4 quarters. 4 quarters. Oh, wait. Didn't McCoy used to say something about that?
Yeah.
Got to play all 4 quarters.
Good old ball coach McCoy. He's 1-0 against you.
I know. I bet he gets excited.
Shout out to Eric
Williams. 1-0 against me. Yeah. Shout out to Sir Eric. But anyway, right? I think the key to winning, like I've said on this year, your favorite program, and your boy's been ridiculed, the key to winning is ball control, effective in the run game, quick passes, keep the son of Odin open. I don't care about dink and ducks if people are getting open, right? I do not care if we take a 10-minute drive to score a touchdown. I'm good with it, right? Take the whole quarter, control the clock, dude. So Joseph Lombardi, I don't even know if that's your first name, channel the inner things from granddad, dude. Is it his grandpa?
Yeah, it is.
Channel the inner things from your granddad, dude, and let's freaking go, dude. Please, God.
I'm gonna go with Khalil Mack. I say Khalil Mack gets back on it this weekend. He'll get 2 sacks, and I think he'll be all over Davis Mills, and he'll get to it. Let me get. All right, Dan. Prediction.
This is terrible. Why do you do this to me? These predictions. I have no idea. I said they won last week. Am I the curse? No, I know who the curse is. We all know on this program who the curse is. Prediction. What was the score to the Broncos game? Was it tight?
But that's
my question. That was in Denver?
It was 16-9.
16-9. Good God Almighty. Okay, I don't think it'll be 16-9. You know what? Whatever, dude. I'm gonna say it every week. Chargers are gonna win. They're gonna take the dub. They're on the road, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they love playing on the road more. I have no idea. I think they're gonna come out and take care of business. Maybe it'll be close, but I think this is gonna be a bounce back game.
I'll give it that. I'll say everybody basically is back for them that they need. That's important. And I'll say that the ribs hold up this week again. He'll look better than he looked against Jacksonville, and Justin Herbert will. And I'll say the Chargers win. I'll go 28-20 Chargers.
Oh God.
I'll say the
One
defense
score
holds up
game
and plays better than what they did this last week. I don't know. I just think that they'll play better than what they did. There's no way. I think a Derwin James led defense will suffer twice in a row the way they kind of did. So I'm gonna go with that. But as of right now, guys, thank you guys so much again for joining us. Dan and Daygo and I will be here as soon as the game is over. We'll have your full breakdown post game of the matchup. You can always count on What's Up Bolts to have your guys' post game stuff. And obviously, guys, check out Combat Compas. We got some good stuff there. If you guys haven't checked out some of our interviews, we have regular Compas on the beat where we broke down everything from week 3 in the NFL.
Yeah.
Also, listen to where Dan would love to. What magical place
my fictitious
Dan would like
place
to go to.
My fictitious place.
Exactly.
Which one stooge on the program didn't pick a fictitious place. I will let the viewer and the listener guess who that is. Tweet at me if you'd like.
Exactly. We don't have an imagination over there. So obviously,
scumbag.
He must have failed kindergarten when it was all about imagination. So they were probably like, "Oh, get on the magic carpet. This isn't magic.
It's just a carpet.
What?
Carpet.
This is a carpet."
He probably saw the SpongeBob episode where he's in a box and he goes, "Imagination." And you remember the box?
It was just like, it's a box.
It's a box. Why am I gonna sit in a box?
But shout out to Hilberto. By the way, him and Vic, the producer, have some good stuff going on with House of Horns. Check it out. They had our good friend Cam Imman on this week to do the 49ers breakdown.
Shout out.
Hopefully, we will have Cam Inman in a couple of weeks for that Sunday night matchup between the Chargers and the 49ers in a couple of weeks. So that'll be cool. And guys, please like, subscribe, comment, go to TikTok, go to our Twitter, go to Instagram. Let us know what you guys love about the show. Please let us know. Drop the comments, subscribe. We'd love to hear from you guys. Thank you guys so much for rocking with us. He's Dan and Daygo. Dan, what do you got?
I was about to say, and make sure you go vote on the poll. I won't tell you which one I did, Neverland, but go and vote on the poll and push me ahead to first place.
Yeah, and I'm in first place right now, so that's
I know you are.
I'm in a good spot right now.
Right? That's the problem. No one understands. If you go to Hogwarts/Hogsmeade, you're being chased by Death Eaters, Dementors, Slytherin snakes.
So obviously,
and everybody else.
So go check out the poll, like you said, on our Compas on the Beat page on Twitter. It's a funny poll that we had, and obviously check out the episode to hear why we chose each one. But again, thank you guys so much for rocking with us. That's Dan and Daygo. I'm Fernando Ramirez. We have another week of Chargers-Texans. Thank you guys so much for checking us out, and don't forget, like, subscribe, and thank you guys for being our compas.
Be a friend, tell a friend.